All right, folks, we're finally here. The destination in our closet renovation journey, where we turn an outdated and neglected closet into a storage sanctuary. So this is what we're starting with. It's a pretty typical contractor grade. There's a single rod that spans from one side to the other, as well as a shelf, a single shelf. And this is the entirety of the infrastructure in this closet. So we're not looking so great. We do at least have light, and that is provided by a single overhead bulb like this. Yeah, it's not great, but it's something. So we're off to a start. First, I had to remove the old shelving. This part was straightforward. Just a little persuasion with the hammer, and they came right out. To the credit of whoever installed the original closet system, this shelf and rod are all a single piece of lumber. That's a 16-foot shelf. That is all one piece. I'm going to cut this up before I take it out. With the space cleared, it was time to freshen up the walls. And this is what we've got to work with everything torn out. It looks like the original coat of paint was Pepto-Bismol pink. Interesting choice. Before installing the new shelves, I gave the walls a fresh coat of paint. This not only cleans up the space, but also provides a solid backdrop to the new shelving. That's a pretty drastic difference right there. To make the shelves pop and improve visibility, I installed LED strip lighting. This simple addition makes a huge difference in both aesthetics and functionality. And finally, it's time to install the shelving. I start by marking out lines with the long level, and then I install a ledger board to anchor the entire unit to. And then the rest of the pieces just kind of fall into place. And then it's on to the second side. All right, this is looking great so far. Just need to get a coat of paint on these things and seal everything up with the poly, and then, of course, install the drawers. And we'll be done. For paint, I'm using a whitewash process of diluted white paint and just applying that and wiping it off. And once everything is painted, I can start getting a nice light coat of poly onto all of the surfaces. And while that dries, I can start attaching the drawer rails to the drawers. I'm doing this using a piece of plywood to offset the rail from the bottom of the drawer, and then clamping another piece of plywood to the front face to act as a stop. And I'm just butting each drawer rail up against these guides, putting in 2 screws, and then moving on to the next side. Very easy process, and I will install these next. For installing the drawers, I've cut a few different guide blocks, and I just clamp the block on, butt the rail up against it, ensure that I've got a correct spacing from the front of the cabinet, and then put a couple screws in and go to the next rail. So very easy process, a whole lot like installing the slides onto the drawers themselves. And once all of the rails are installed, I can finally attach the drawer faces. And then it's on to finishing touches. So one of the things that kind of bugged me were these seams where different wood pieces meet each other. And so what I'm going to start doing is just sealing those up with spackle. You can see one side I've done and the other side I haven't. And these black seams, they're so glaring. And when they've been sealed up, everything looks nice and tight. So we're going to get that done on the rest of these. And of course, I can't forget some 3D printed accessories, like these door guides. The originals were white and brittle plastic, and most had already broken, so I took a few minutes and redesigned something a little beefier and printed it in this Polymaker Polywood. And I think those look pretty inconspicuous, and they do a great job holding the doors in place. Second, we 3D printed the rod holders. Okay, so this is the cost breakdown. This project used a total of 6 sheets of plywood. We used 4 sheets of 0.75-inch plywood at $80 a sheet. I live in Northern California, so things are expensive. All right, that's a total of $320. Then we used 1 sheet of 0.5-inch at $60. 1 sheet of 0.25-inch at $40. We used 8 drawer pulls at $34 total. 8 drawer rails for a total of $70. Those were Amazon specials. We used $40 worth of paint. That was 1 gallon of a high quality indoor paint. 1 quart of the polyacrylic at $20 each. And then the LEDs, I used 2 strips at $12 each for a grand total of $608. All right, that's not too bad. Kind of comparable with something you might get at IKEA, though you'd get a lot less and it wouldn't be as custom. So I'm pretty happy with the way that the project turned out and all of the costs involved. I think we did it pretty affordably. Last, I installed some under cabinet lighting and wired those to some motion detectors so that the lighting for each respective side will come on when we open the doors. Now all that's left to do is move my clothes back in. This is Roman with DS Creative Studio. As always, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every view. Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week.